LeBron, you, of course, have come back from down 3-1 before. Every situation is different, but kind of what does it take, and what's the message to a team after a tough emotional loss like this?
Obviously, you don't think about winning 3. You think about just getting the next one. And that's the only thing that matters, because if not, obviously, the offseason begins. So, it's all about Wednesday, I believe. So that's what's important.
Just so many big plays down the stretch. Did anything particular stand out to you, LeBron, in this one, as to how Minnesota was able to prevail?
Yeah, I mean, it was just big play after big play, and they made a couple more plays than we did, obviously.
LeBron, you guys leave here without a win, but you guys were tied with 5 minutes to go in Game 3. Obviously, we're in position to win this game. Why do you think they were able to pull away late? And does the fact that, in terms of a problem-solving thing, does it still feel like this team is close to breaking through against them?
They won the game, but it wasn't like they completely pulled away. I mean, they won the game, but they just made a couple more opportunities. I think obviously Ant got it going in the fourth. I thought Nas' minutes in the fourth was huge. He had we was trying to hold him off, and he had a good post up with a left hand jump hook, and he came back with a 3. Every time we were trying to push the lead up. And obviously, I think Jaden had a couple good plays as well down the stretch. Obviously, one of the most important ones was the and one late in the game. We had opportunities to win. We just couldn't close it.
You've said before that you prepare yourself to be able to play as close to 48 minutes as possible. You've literally done it in a playoff game before, but JJ played the entire group all 24 minutes of the second half. What's the feeling like expending that much energy in a playoff game? And then do you think there's any correlation between your guys' offensive numbers in the fourth and not getting any rest?
What was our offensive numbers in the fourth? I mean, I could see the 19 points, but what was our offensive numbers in the fourth? 3 for 17.
5 for 18 from the field, 4 for 12.
Yeah. We had some really good looks. Luka missed a point blank layup, to put us up 7. I missed a point blank layup to put us up 4. We had a couple opportunities. I don't think fatigue had anything to do with that. We just missed some point blank shots. We were getting to what we wanted to get into, and we just weren't able to convert.
LeBron, oftentimes in games like this, we'll focus on the final quarter, final few minutes, but they outscored you guys, I think, by 6 to close the second, and then by, I think, 6 also to close the first quarter. How critical were the end-of-quarter moments preventing you guys from having an even bigger lead, or having a lead, rather?
It was very crucial. In a postseason game, closing quarters is very crucial, and obviously first, second, and fourth, we didn't do that. We did a good job in the third quarter, but the first and the second quarter and the fourth quarter, obviously we weren't able to close quarters. So, that's definitely challenging for us for sure.
LeBron, the third was arguably the best the offense has looked in the series. You guys scored a series high, 36 points. I know they did some different things defensively with the hedging and the blitzing more than they had earlier, but are there things with the way the ball was moving, the way you guys were generating open corner threes, that you feel like you can take forward into Game 5 and apply moving forward? Yeah,
we got to continue to work our game. We got to some really good actions tonight. Was able to get some really good looks, like you said, especially in that third quarter. Every game can be different. Just because what we was able to find in today's game doesn't mean it's going to be available on Wednesday. They're going to make adjustments. We're going to make some adjustments. So you play the game and not predetermine the game. So we'll see what happens.
Last 2.
LeBron, what were you looking for on the sideline inbounds pass, where you guys were up against the 8-second clock? And then, I guess, secondly, did you think that you hit enough of the ball and not enough of Ant's hand on the call that was overturned?
First question, I was just looking for somebody to get open. We still had 2 seconds to get the ball across half court, but everybody kind of went into the front court. If I could take it back, in a timeout, maybe just have one guy break open to the back court. We still had time. Two, absolutely. I mean, that play happens all the time. You know, hand is part of the ball. That's what they say. And, I feel like the hand was a part of that ball. I was able to get his hand on top of the ball stripped down and out on him. So I've seen that play over and over before, but it is what it is.
Last question. Thanks, Albert.
Thanks.
JJ, you made the change of the lineup to start the second half and went with those guys the whole way through. Was that the plan from the start, and how did you kind of manage what you were going to do?
No, it wasn't planned, but we just made the decision at halftime.
What do you take away, I guess, most from a kind of an emotionally difficult loss like that, in which you had yourselves in pretty good shape multiple times and they just kept coming back?
We certainly played well enough to win, and we gave the effort to win. And not a planned thing to play five guys an entire second half. We asked them at the beginning of the fourth quarter, told them we had 2 extra timeouts. If you need a sub, let us know. Those guys gave a lot.
JJ, how much stress did Ant put your perimeter defenders on there in the fourth, and just how did your guys, I guess, at times fight and compete and keep him to space, but ultimately kind of ran out of gas against him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a difficult player, and I think there's certain lineups that you can look at that they play that we could have mixed in some different things when they have their shooters out there. It's tough to kind of mix in fires. We tried to fire multiple times. It wasn't communicated well. We did end up, trying to blitz him. He raced it both times and they scored. So, he's a very dynamic offensive player.
What was your vantage point on the inbound that was a turnover?
Well, let's just start with Luka got tripped. I mean, that was a blatant trip. He doesn't just fall on his own. We watched it. He gets tripped. So we should have been at the free throw line. That's not an excuse for why we lost, but we got fouled, and we had a chance to go up. Again, you work on the end game stuff, and you draw it up, and you tell guys very specific things. We didn't execute it, and very obvious we didn't execute it. So I don't know that's my only vantage point. We just didn't execute it.
JJ, were you concerned at all at a point? I know you said you checked in with the guys at the start of the fourth quarter about trying to find a minute or two there. LeBron has obviously played a ton of basketball in his life, and is there any second guessing for you on that decision?
Not on that one. I think once you've kind of made that decision, and they all are in, you just got to trust them.
JJ, we mentioned the possession battle pregame. They got 10 more shots, 18 offensive rebounds, 3 fewer turnovers. How big of a swing factor were those couple of areas?
Yeah, I thought we played well enough in the first half. Our first shot defense, we should have been up double figures, and that's instead we're down. That's some turnovers led to some baskets, and then the offensive rebound just killed us in the first half.
You said after game one that your team needed to play with kind of the edge and mentality that you guys showed in game two. It seemed like you mentioned the offensive play, but Randall all game kind of was able to be a physical disruptor. What did you make of what he was able to do, and how was he impactful on the game?
As a defender, you're talking about?
No, just flying around the court everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, he's you got to live with some stuff. 22 shots, 25 points. You got to live with some stuff.
Did you think his energy though?
No, he's been great all series. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Luka, how do you handle the emotional swing of holding on to win this game when you led it for much of the game, and including late, and then being losing and being down 3-1 as you go home? How do you process that as an individual and as a team?
It's definitely disappointing, but nothing has lost. No, we haven't lost nothing yet. It's for the first win, for a wins, and we just gotta still believe.
And we know that you were not feeling well last game. Can you take us through the last couple games, last couple days, and how you felt and how you're able to respond for today?
Yeah, I mean, mostly laying down, just not doing anything, just trying to get some rest. Today I felt better. There's no excuse not winning this game.
Luka, you guys were tied pretty late into the game in Game 3. Obviously, we're up 10 here in the fourth to start the quarter. What has it been down the stretch? Do you think that's come back to hurt you guys? And do you think fatigue played any factor in it?
This is the playoffs. Fatigue shouldn't play any role in this. Play a lot of minutes, but that shouldn't play a role. I think they just executed better on the offensive end during the last minutes.
JJ said he thought you were tripped in the final minute. What was your kind of take on that sequence?
What do you think? I got tripped or no?
I honestly didn't have a great vantage point from where I was sitting. So.
Oh, I think I got tripped for sure. We had to call timeout.
Is there any part of being a competitor that you look at this situation and you're like, okay, like we literally have 3 must-win games, and stepping forward into that challenge?
Yeah, it's a fun challenge, and we should have extra motivation, to win these next 3 games. It's going to be very hard. Every possession is going to matter. We got to go 100% no matter what.
What was supposed to happen on the inbounds play after you called timeout? What was supposed to happen? I think you guys only had 1 second, right, on the clock to get it across midcourt. And how did that sort of impact what you guys were able to do?
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 screens, so either me or AR should receive the ball. I thought LeBron was going to throw it there. He thought I was going to put it there. So it's kind of miscommunication, and I got to do better in those situations. That's on me.
Good. You guys scored a series high 36 points in the third. They were mixing in some hedging and blitzing, which was different than how they've been guarding you earlier in the series. Can you guys take away anything from that if they're not going to that defense and just the way that you guys attack them and we're generating open corner threes and getting downhill? Can you guys find a way to do that more consistently?
Yeah, I think the ball was flowing in a great rhythm. We were just finding each other. We were playing aggressive. We were touching the paint, which is the most important. And, we got to look at that third quarter. But it all came from defensive end.
Oftentimes in games like these, we'll focus on the clutch time, end of games, to kind of figure out what didn't go right or what did go right. But you guys could have went up by double digits in the first, and then it was only a 4-point lead. They took that lead into halftime. How critical were those end of quarter moments for you guys, where it seemed like Minnesota, first quarter, second quarter, really won those moments?
We were up by 10 in the end of third, so I don't think they played a big part. We just gotta hold on to the lead. We can't relax. We gotta keep doing what we did to get a lead, and that's how we gotta play.
Thanks, Luka.
Thank you.
We'll start with you and
Austin, so many different big plays down the stretch both ways. So is there a play or two that stands out to you as kind of the key, and does that tell you anything about the series or this game specifically?
I don't really have an answer for that. They made one more play than us.
You end up playing the entire second half with that group. What was that like, kind of going into timeouts? And I'm assuming JJ was asking like if you guys are okay, et cetera. You're never going to take yourself out of the game. How did you handle that physically and mentally down the stretch?
I got a lot of rest the first half, so just did whatever coach needed me to do.
Austin, what did you kind of make of the foul trouble early? How disruptive was it for your rhythm, and how were you able to kind of find some in the third?
Continue to stay locked in. I think that's the first time all year that I've had 3 fouls in the first half. So I don't know. Got to stop fouling, and so I can be out there for my teammates.
You guys are down 3-1, but you leave Minnesota knowing that you were tied with 4 minutes to go in game 2 or game 3. I'm sorry. Obviously up 10 to start the fourth tonight. What has been the difference late in games here in Minnesota, and does this still feel within reach for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to go lace them up and play again, you're not out of it. A lot of these, games besides, game 1, 3 and 4 could have easily went our way if we made a couple more plays down the stretch, but we didn't. Dug ourselves in a hole, and the sun will come up tomorrow, and we still got another, day to fight.
You caught a rhythm in the second half, hitting 5 threes, and obviously LeBron finds you for the final look. Just what'd you make of it? Did you think it had a chance of going in when you let it go?
Yeah, once I shot it out, it felt good. Had to get it off kind of quick. Didn't exactly know where the game clock stood. Good pass. If I'm put in that situation again, I'm gonna shoot it again, and I have confidence in myself to make it. I just didn't make that one.
At least to start the game, it seemed like you guys made an effort to, after his 30-point game on game 3, slow down McDaniels. What did you, is there anything encouraging that you can take away from, the start defensively in that sense? And what needs to carry over to game 5 in LA?
You just got to play him straight up. He's a good player. He's not just a defensive guy if you give him opportunity on the offensive end. He's 6'9", 6'10", wingspan, probably in the 7 foot. Can get downhill, finishes the ball well around the rim. You got to, keep him in front and don't let him touch the paint. So I felt like we did a good job of that early, and then just to carry over. Same stuff. Just got to play harder. We got to end quarters better. And obviously the fourth quarter tonight, we got outscored 13 or whatever it is. And if you have a lead going into the fourth quarter, you got to maintain it.
Last question,
Austin, they switched to hedging and blitzing during that third quarter. You guys had 36 points, which is your series high in a quarter. You guys picked them apart. Are there ways that you guys feel like you could do a better job generating those advantages against the primary switching, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I thought we did a lot of good in that third quarter. As you can tell, we outscored them by 13, and we just continue to get good looks. We gotta watch the film and see how we could do that. Almost every possession, you gotta have a good look every possession, and even in that fourth quarter, we had some good looks that we didn't convert. I think I had 2 threes that basically wide open that I didn't make. I think Bron had a layup, Luka had a layup. So, you just got to, continue to fight and believe in yourself. Thank you.
Dorian, first of all, how do you just handle the emotional swing of a game like today, especially considering you go down 3-1 in the series now?
Oh man, it's tough. Especially we felt like we did enough to win that game. But they made some big shots late in that game. Nas Reed came in. I think he scored 8 quick ones. There was some big points.
I'm sure at halftime, Coach must have told you, "Hey, we're going to make this switch." Wasn't sure that it was going to be you're going to play the whole second half. But how did you handle that physically and mentally?
Well, we had it rolling. We got great shots the third and fourth quarter. Even though we didn't score much in that fourth, we had great looks. I got a bunch of wide open threes. AR got some wide open threes. Rui, Luka got some great looks. It was definitely gave us a little boost early in the half, and like I said, they just finished that fourth quarter. They just made some big shots.
Doe, you just mentioned the offense, especially in that third quarter. You guys scored a series high 36. They mixed in some more hedging and blitzing than they had been doing previously. I guess aside from that, what can you guys take from that you could apply moving forward in Game 5, other than I guess how they're guarding you?
Obviously we got to do a better job on the defensive glass. We got to box out, but sometimes you're gonna give up some of those. And when you're playing small, you got to put 2 on Rudy, and he did a good job of being disruptive on the offensive glass. But yeah, it definitely gave us I feel like it gave us a little advantage that third quarter, and we just gotta lean our head on that, stay positive, and win one game at a time.
Dorian, I think there's only been 13 teams in NBA history to come back from a 3-1 deficit. What characteristics have you seen from this team that lets you believe or puts belief in you that you guys can accomplish that?
Well, I seen Bron do it already. But now, we still feel like we can win this series. We just got to win one game at a time. Obviously, we put ourselves in harm's way, but we got to figure it out as a team.
When JJ went with you and the rest of the starters to begin the third quarter, was that a move that had been discussed by you guys as a group at any point in preparation for the series? And do you expect it to be the approach you guys take in Game 5?
To be honest, no. It was, started the third quarter. I think they ain't tell me till, like 2 minutes left on a halftime. But, I'm always ready. Just wish we'd have got the win.
Doe, I know it's not an excuse, but playing 24 straight minutes, do you think that had anything to do for that group with how they were able to outscore you guys in the fourth?
I mean, it was tough, but it's playoffs. I don't think nobody wanted to come out the game anyway, so I don't think nobody going to use that as an excuse.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Rui, when did you notice, I guess, that you weren't coming out of this basketball game? And how did that do you think that affected the way the last 4 or 5 minutes went?
I mean, it might did, but I don't know. I was fine. I was ready to play the whole game. But, of course, we kind of lost our rhythm and swag in the last 5 minutes. So, it's a tough one. We found the rhythm with the 5 guys that we on the court. That is literally the whole second half. So we just kept it. So yeah, it's tough. It's the coaches how to make a decision. We all felt good too. We had a lot of timeouts. So, but yeah, it was a tough one. Yeah, I don't know.
This season's had so many ups and downs. Now you're in a spot where potentially you're heading into the last game that you'll play. How do you think you guys are going to respond on Game 5 on Wednesday?
No, we're going to get one. Yeah, we're going to get one. This is not done yet. We right there. We really right there. We just got to fix little things. Of course, the fourth quarter is going to be the problem for us. So we watch the film again and there's got to be more executed, we got to pay attention, the calls, the adjustments and defense, really offense, we got to be locked in on that. We make those little mistakes gonna hurt us. So we got to communicate well. We got to be better on that side, and the coaching, the players, everybody, be on the same page. But I think, but we're gonna get one next one. Yeah.
It was your highest scoring playoff game since Game 1 against Memphis a couple years ago. Do you feel like you've gotten adjusted to playing with the mask? Do you feel like you found certain wrinkles to the offense tonight? What was working for you personally?
The ball was moving more today. Just I don't know how that was a hard day guarding or whatever. But I had more balls in my fuck, I can't see. I was just getting more passes, so I think that's I was ready. They told me that I'm gonna be getting a lot of shots, so I was ready for that. But yeah, I think I was in a good rhythm, and I think everybody's in a good rhythm offensively today. Yeah.
Rui, if you look at the box score, right, like it says that they only scored one more second chance point than you guys, but I think They grabbed 7 more offensive rebounds. How crucial were those, just in terms of, we're talking about energy and different things like that, just the extra seconds that you guys had to stay engaged on defense because they were able to extend those offensive possessions, whether or not they even scored?
Yeah, I know. I think the way that we guard, we're going to be in a lot of rotation. So we got to, they're bigger. They have a big man. So we got to help each other on the defense side and rebounds. I think, you said, like you said, they get in the offense rebounds. But it's going to happen. But we just got to keep pushing and we keep reducing those rebounds. And then we're going to be in a good position. So we just gotta fight. We gotta help, each other. The 5 guys gotta be on the rebound. I think that's gonna be the key.
You guys leave here without a win, but how does it hit you knowing? I mean, so in Game 3, it's tied with 4.5 minutes to go before they pull away. Tonight, you guys are up 7 with 4.5 minutes to go before, they go on their run. What does that tell you about the series? If anything, does that show you guys that you're close? Does it show you that there's still a lot of work to be done? Maybe a little bit of both?
No, I think we're right there. We're just right there. We just got to fix the little things. And we have to execute those last 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever that is. We got to be more focused, mentally, physically. We got to be more stronger. We got to make those shots. So, yeah, we're right there. Just got to fix those. Yeah.
So it's going to be repeated in Japanese, but 課題だったフィジカルの着実に成果を上げておりますし、アグレッシブなプレーも今日見れたんですけれども、次の試合またこのシリーズに勝つために今一番チームとして八村選手として何が必要だと思いますか？
そのフィジカルの部分でもそうですし、チームとしても最後の5分6分間の中でもっとコミュニケーションを取り合って。自分たちは何をしているかディフェンスでもそうですしオフェンスでもそうですしそこをしっかりと明らかにすることによって僕らももっとプレーがしやすくなると思うのでそこをしっかり意識してやっていきたいなと思います。
今オフェンスの話もちょっとされたと思うんですけれども八村選手、このシリーズで一番得点もシュートのアテンプトも多かったと思うんですけれどもこの試合に向けてはどういうオフェンスの意識で臨まれましたか？
もっとアグレッシブにいこうと思いましたね。彼らも相手チームももっとディフェンスでもちょっと変えてくるんじゃないかなと思ってたのでそこで僕らもアジャストしながら、今日は僕もオフェンスを絡みながらいけたのでそこは良かったんじゃないかなと思います。
守備の部分で大柄な選手を相手に体を張ってやってる部分もあるんですけれどもそのシリーズを通しての自己評価っていう部分は今のところどうですか？
そうですね、もう1番から5番までもうこのチーム状況では守らなきゃ僕がやらなきゃいけない状況なのでそこではしっかり自分もその責任感その仕事を任されたってことをちゃんと責任を持ってやっていきたいなと思います。